All right, the properties of exponents and factor review. The first example that we're going to look at is find the inverse of a function. To find the inverse of a function, first thing that you want to do is you want to rewrite f of x to y, and we know that f of x is the same as y. Therefore, I'm going to rewrite f of x as y, which is equal to 4x minus 9. Then once I have it in form of y equal, what I want to do is I want to change or switch my x and y. So from my y here, it's going to become x is equal to 4. My x will become y minus 9. Then the last step to do is I want to solve for y. So to find the inverse, I'm going to solve for y. So to do that, first I'm going to add 9 to both sides. To get my y by itself, I want to move my numbers to the other side. So I have x plus 9 is equal to 4y. Then lastly, I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Therefore, my x plus 9 over 4 is equal to y. Now, if I keep it as y, then it looks as it's the same as the original function. So to notate that this is an inverse, we need to rewrite this as f of x to the -1, meaning that is the inverse of the original function, which is x plus 9 over 4. All right, now we're going to start looking at the properties of exponent. All right, let's look at the first property of exponent. It's called the zero exponent. Say if I have 4 to the 0, we know that anything raised to the 0 power is 1. So whether it is, say, 3.2 to the 0, it's still going to be 1. So anything raised to a 0 equals 1. Right? So and then let's look at the second exponent. Second example is the negative exponent. So the first thing that I want to look at is 4 to the -2. Anytime you have something in negative exponent, you want to rewrite your answer in a positive. So 4 to the -2, to write it as a positive exponent, we will rewrite this as a fraction. So I'm going to put 1 over 4, and my power it's to a -2, but when I write it as a fraction, 1 over my exponents become a positive. So 1 over 4 to the second power. Or if I have -2 to the -4 power, I'm going to need to do the same thing. This is going to be 1 over -2. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Then to the 4th power. My -4 to the exponents will become a positive when I write it as a fraction. All right, the next property that we're going to look at is the product of power. All right, if I have 4 to the 6 times 3, times 4 to the 3rd power. Now when I multiply two bases that are the same, I can add the product property, say that I can add their exponents. So 4 to the 6 times 4 to the 3rd is the same as 4 to the 6 plus 3. Therefore, this is 4 to the 9th. Right, let's look at the next one is the not product but the quotient of power property. So if I have 4 to the 6 all over 4 to the third, then I can, the quotients property say that if I divide two bases that are the same, I can subtract their exponents. So this is the same as 4 to the 6 minus 3, which is equal to 4 to the third power. All right, next, if I have a power of a power property I'm going to say if I have, say, z to the fourth of negative 3. If I have z to the fourth of negative 3, I have a power and another power. When that is the case, the power of a power property say that I will need to multiply the two power together so that I have z to the negative 12. Again, we cannot have a exponent, a negative exponent, so we need to rewrite this as 1 over z to the 12th power. All right, moving on to the next one is the 6. This is the power of product property. This time, if I have 3 times 2 to the 5th power, now I have two numbers inside my parentheses, which is 3 times 2, and then they're both raised to the power. What that means is that I need to raise both of my 3 to the 5th power times 2 to the 5th power. I need to raise both of them to the 5th power. And you can plug this into the calculator. 3 to the 5th is 243 times 2 to the 5th is 32. And altogether, when I multiply that, I get 7,776. And you can do this for any of the previous number also. I just didn't fully work it out, but say right here, when we have 4 to the third, we 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 4, that is 64 for that also. And you can easily plug that into the calculator, or you can plug that into Desmos also. All right, and then let's look at the last property is the power of quotient. The power of quotients property say that, say if I have 2x over 3 to the negative 5, now, same thing as we did with the power of the product property. When I have two things inside my parentheses, I need to raise both of my 2x to the negative 5th power all over 3 to the negative 5th power. Now, we know that when I have a negative exponent in my numerator, I can bring it down to a denominator and make this become 2x to the 5th power. We can do the same thing for the denominator. If I have 3 to the negative 5, I can bring it to a numerator and say this is 3 to a positive 5. So anytime you have a negative exponent, you can make it into a fraction. If it's in numerator, bring it down to the denominator, the negative will go away. If it's in the denominator, then you can take it to the numerator, and then your exponents will become a positive. And then we know that 3 to the 5th power is 243. And then below here, when you have 2x to the 5th, we need to raise both of my 2 to the 5th power and x to the 5th power. Therefore, for this one, let me reduce that down a little bit. So for this one, my answer is 243 all over again. 2 to the 5th is 32. X to the 5th is, well, still x to the 5th.